Okay, guys. So this semester again, Blackboard once again is optional. There's nothing on here required. But in the course information slot here, there will once again be the links to the class videos down here eventually. Right now, let's take a look at our syllabus. Yeah.
You're going to be on Blackboard?
Just the videos will be on there. The grades will still be in my WITC. They're looking into getting a link between them, so grades will automatically dump from Blackboard into my WITC, but they haven't got that to work yet.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't understand what the holdup is myself. Someday when I rule the world, it'll all be different.
Make you macro.
Okay, so this course, you guys know me, you know how to get in touch with me, so we don't need to go over any of that. You're here, so you know where and when we meet. We're just Monday through Thursday this semester, only 4 hours a week instead of 5, so get a little bit more of a break. Do you guys have Friday classes this semester?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, 3-day weekend. I work on Friday.
We're using the same textbooks as last semester, so we're just going to continue on with those. Saves you a little bit of money. That one was like $320, wasn't it, anyway? Better use it for 2 semesters.
One book this semester, and it's like a binder.
Oh, good.
$16 for communication.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
If anybody was getting through the course using their cell phone calculator, you may want to go to a scientific calculator for this semester. Just with the heavy trig, it's a little bit easier to use the scientific calculator than try to use the cell phone. There's some formulas that are a little bit longer too. If any of you do want to try the test out, these are the topics that we cover in the course. So if you want to look through them and it looks like stuff you already know and you'd rather test out than sit here 4 days a week. In the interest of full disclosure, I have had several people attempt this test out through the years and I have never had anybody pass. Just to be totally honest with you. Grade scale, grading is the same as it was last semester, 80% tests and quizzes, 20% homework and attendance. Same grading scale, same policies. If you need to withdraw, you got to do it by the 80% mark. Procedures, don't cheat, don't, whatever. Accommodations, again, if you need anything, please talk to me. We'll figure something out for you. And the same disclosure on podcasts and videos. Those are all property of WITC. The classes are recorded. So don't say anything in here that you don't want known to public. Because they're put on YouTube. It is public access. They are not restricted access. They are out there for people that are looking to come to WITC. They can browse them too to see. So. Oh, I'm sure. That's just this morning. Our units, we are going to start out with a review of ratio and proportion here. That takes about 3 weeks or so. Then we're going to talk about spur gear formulas and cutting speeds. We'll probably rush through that one because it seems like you guys had a pretty good grasp on that last semester, so that one won't take us very long. That'll just be like a 40-point test for that unit instead of a full 100-point test because it will only take less than a week most likely on that. There won't be any quizzes. It'll just be cover the material and hit the test. Then we're going to get into the trig. A right angle trig and oblique triangle trig. One of the things that most people don't understand about trig is not about right triangles. It's applied to right triangles, but trig is about circles. And we'll show where the trig functions come from and how they're calculated and how they got to be applied to triangles. Then we're going to look at complex applications of trig and machining, finding missing dimensions, things like that. Then we'll look, if there's time, we'll look at compound angles. Unit 5, we usually have a choice of 1 or 2 directions. If people are struggling with the complex trig applications, I do have extra complex applications we can take a couple more weeks on and push the compound angles back. We will still get to compound angles no matter what. What compound angles is if you have a block and you're drilling a hole here and it not only has to angle this way, but it also has to angle that way. It talks about now how do you set that up on just a simple drill press. You got to rotate the block and then tilt the block to get that hole lined up with the drill itself. And there's other applications of compound angles that we'll look at the same way, where you've got to get a rotation and a tilt to set that up. We will get to those no matter what, but it's a matter of whether we spend 3 or 4 weeks on them or if we just spend a couple weeks on them, depending on how much time we have to take on the complex trig applications. In the past, if there's a time at the end of the semester, now the last couple of years we haven't had that because we've had to spend extra time on the complex trig. Usually I'll take about the last week or so and do some very quick statistical process control. So you can see the basics of when they talk about SPC and quality control, what are just some of the basics that they're talking about there and what does it mean and why is it such a big deal? Any questions on the syllabus? Okay, good. So like I said, as usual, as always, syllabus is out there on Blackboard. The recordings are going to be below it, including today's. Grades are still in my WITC. Did everybody manage to find those last semester? Okay. So, being the first day, I just want to do a little bit of review to see what you guys remember. So if I have something like something like this, what am I going to get? In your notes, try to figure that one out quick and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so when we did these last semester, we set them up vertically, we lined them up. We wrote one underneath the other like this. And then we subtracted down the columns. The other way you could do it is, of course, you could distribute the negative and then drop the parentheses and just combine like terms if that's how you were taught to do it. This is going to end up being negative 4x squared minus 10x plus 21. Any questions on that one? Looking familiar? Give that one a shot, see if you remember how to do it. So I combined a couple of different things into this one. Not only do I have the FOIL or the long multiplication, but I also have the extra powers and stuff to deal with in here as well. You could do FOIL if that's the way you've been taught to do it and that's the way you like it. You can do the first, outside, inside, last. Or you can set it up as long multiplication like this and do 5xy squared times negative 7xy to the 5th. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. X times x is x squared. That'll be y to the 7th because you add powers. 5xy squared times 3x squared y. 5 times 3 is 15. X times x squared is x to the 3rd. Y squared times y is y to the 3rd. Now, one of the flaws with this strategy here comes in this next step. We're used to this next multiplication going right underneath here. But the problem here is the terms aren't the same. It's going to be x to the 4th, y to the 8th. That doesn't go underneath either one of these. That's got to keep going off on its own over here. So 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. X to the third times x is x to the fourth. Y to the third times y to the fifth is y to the eighth. Doesn't go under either one of those columns. And 2 times 3 is 6. X to the fifth, y to the fourth. Is there anything we can combine there? No, so let's put a plus in there. This is 6, x to the fifth, y to the fourth. Minus 14, x to the fourth, y to the eighth. Plus 15, x to the third, y to the third. Minus 35, x squared, y to the seventh. So you might be wondering, why did I put them in that order? Why did I leave them in that order? I talked briefly about descending and ascending order. Usually you put your digits, your numbers in descending order. So that goes from highest power to lowest power, choosing one of your variables. And when we have multiple variables, we usually either choose x or the one that comes alphabetically first. So x to the fifth, x to the fourth, x to the third, x squared, going in descending order. Any questions on that one? Well, how about something like this? So the number portion has to actually go to the power. So that's going to be 5 to the power of 6, which is 15,625. And then for the powers on the variables, when you do a power of to another power, what do you do with them?
Add.
You're saying when you multiply, you add powers. We're doing a power to another power, you multiply. So 4 times 6, this becomes x to the 24, and y to the 18. That is the biggest mistake I see made on these guys, is what you guys did right here. You do 5 times 6 is 30. It's the powers get multiplied, but the numbers itself has to get raised to the power. Try to divide that one out quick. So you divide the numbers. 36 divided by 9 is 4. What do we do with the powers? Subtract. When we're dividing, we subtract powers. So x to the fifth and just y. 3 minus 2 is 1, so it's y to the 1 or just y. Do you remember what this means? 9 to the power of 5 halves. Remember, fractional power has 2 things. How about this? Do you remember what it just means to be 9 to the power of 1 half? Enter that in your calculator. What does it come up with? You get 3, right? That's the square root. So when you have 9 to the 5 halves, you can separate that out as 9 to the 1 half to the fifth. Remember, 1 half times 5 will be 5 halves when you do a power of a power. So what that's saying is I take 9, I can do the square root of 9 first, which is 3, and then 3 to the power of 5, which is 243. So 8 to the 7 thirds, I'm going to split that as 8 to the 1 third and then to the power of 7. What's the third root of 8? 2. So that's 2 to the power of 7, which is 128, right? Give that a try. Order of operations. Did anybody actually just enter it in their calculator and get it to come out? What'd you get? 44. Well, let's see if we can hopefully make it come out to 44. So we're going to start with parentheses and closing symbols. Here's our first one, and its other end is over here. So we're going to start in the brown box. But in there we also still have what? Another set of parentheses. So what are we going to do first inside that set of parentheses? 62 you got? Well, we'll see what we come up with. Inside that green box, that green set of parentheses, we got the power. So 3 squared is 9. So we're still inside that inner set of parentheses there. 10 minus 9 is 1. Now I can get rid of the parentheses because we're down to a single number. We have to remember to put in multiplication there. No more enclosing symbols inside this set of parentheses anymore. We're going out to the bigger set of parentheses. No more enclosing symbols in there. Any more exponents? Nope. So we're multiplication and division. So 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 3, 15. So the 44 is most likely not right. Okay, so now we've got 8 minus 2 is 6. Plus 15 is 21. So you can get rid of that set of parentheses. Put in the multiplication. That's times 21. So 7 here, 3 times 21 is 63. Then we have the 2 times 4 is 8. So 7 plus 63 is 70. Minus 8 is 62. Josh had you guys right. It happens.
Not the new semester like it always.
Now you remember what it's like, huh? Josh is right, you're wrong. It really does, doesn't it? Sounds like a very inappropriate TV show. Huh? Give this one a shot in your notes. See what you come up with. Now, if you're using the calculator, remember, it's probably easiest to do the top first, get an answer, do the bottom, and then divide the 2 answers. So what'd you get on top? 48. First thing we got to do is 2 to the 3rd power is 8. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 minus 8 is 48.
I got 48.
Hey, 2 to the 3rd is 12 somehow. On bottom here, the first thing we have to do is the 3 to the 3rd, which is 27. And then we've got to go left to right with our multiplication and division. 5 times 3 is 15. 27 divided by 27 is 1. So 15 plus 1 is 16. So 48 divided by 16 is 3. That's always the first step, is writing the problem down correctly. Oh yeah, and that's one of the things that's hard to do when you're writing out problems by hand like this. I mean, yeah, when it's in type, it's pretty obvious that that dot is up above, not down below. But when you're writing out by hand, and I admit I have sloppy handwriting. It's handwritten, you know. Yeah. Yep. Well, the good news is I'm not going to give you guys any homework today. The bad news is don't get used to that. As you guys know, that doesn't happen very often. Okay.